Hey everyone, I'm back. It's me, the How-To Homemaker. Now, today I'd like to do a different sort of paracord project with you guys. It's an expansion of the fidget spinners that we did before. It's these things that you can spin around your hands if you're better than I am. This is a 3-wrap monkey fist, and I would like today to do a keychain style, bigger ball obviously, and it's a 5-wrap monkey fist. So it's the same knot, it's just 5 times instead of 3 times. If you haven't watched the fidget spinner video, I will put it in the description. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can just check it out. It's a smaller, easier knot to do. You can do it in your hands. You don't need a jig. I can do the 5-wrap in my hands. I'll be using a jig for the video just so it looks cleaner. Don't go out and buy one right away. Attempt it first is my suggestion for that. And yeah, I'm just going to change the camera angle down and maybe we'll just get right to it. Okay, let's just get started, but what I want to say beforehand is, I don't know why I said that in the intro, do not buy this. This is very easy to make at home. You don't even have to make it out of wood. You can make it out of things around the home. There are tutorials out there that teach you how to just, with pencils and things like that. So don't buy this. I'm disappointed in myself that I even did it. I thought the writing was a good idea, but I really just wish I made it on my own. So that's my first suggestion before we start. My second suggestion is I have a steel ball bearing. If you guys want to use this for helping you to feel more safe, have it so it doesn't break is my suggestion. And for that, a steel ball bearing I think does the trick. So we start out like that. Doesn't matter where you start and stop, and when I say it doesn't matter, I mean pick a stick and just start there. And I hold my thumb in place as my starting position, and then, sorry, I'm just a little bit, there we go. And then now I wrap it around, just like in the fidget spinner video, we wrap it around, not 3 times this time, but 5. This is where a lot of people get confused with this because they go too far or they don't go far enough. As you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of the paracord, and here there's only 3. So I know I need to carry on because I'm doing 5, and so now I have 5, and I know I don't go past that stick one more time because that'll be 6. But I know I need 1 more here because there's only 4. So that is how you, just keep it simple, is how you start and stop. And then once you're at the stick where you've started and stopped, you do the same thing again but on a different axis, and you use that stick again as you're turning around the corner and going straight across the middle. So now I stick it through the bottom here and I go just the same principle as what we did here. Remember and count all your layers if you have to. Don't let them get crossed over. That is the difficulty in doing this, is that sometimes when you are very first weaving this knot, the layers of your paracord will get flipped over one another, and then it's frustrating when you're going to tie the whole thing, or tighten it I should say, because it's already tied. But when you're tightening it and you have to use something like this to try and unfold all the little folds that you've made. So it's very good practice to just try and keep everything nice and uniform the whole entire time, because it's just a mess if you don't. So yeah, I'm at 3 now. Here there's 4. I gotta go at least 1 more time. Yes, I just used my mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1 more time down here, and then I think that's it. That's where I will be stopping. So now we get that. We have the one axis that starts at the bottom of the stick and goes this way. And then we turn the corner right here and did this axis, so it goes this way. And I have to come at least this high. And now this is where the knot gets tied. If you were to take the sticks out at this point, the whole thing would just come unraveled. But if you go through this hole right here, and again you got to go, this is the more difficult one because there's less space now. But if you go through here and then you push the cord through the bottom and then come up that way, and you do it 5 times, that is the knot. This is where your fid comes in handy sometimes. And I also, paracord is really stiff, so I like to just get one at this point. I do at least one so the knot stays tied in case I accidentally let it go. Sorry you can't see that, guys. I'm having trouble getting the... There we go. Okay, it's through there. I've got it through here. It's at the bottom now. Stick it right through the bottom just like we did the other side, but now we're on the other axis. And then you go up through here just like you did down, but now you're going up. And it's already coming off the jig. See that? But that's okay because paracord is stiff. That's what I'm about to show you. Now at this point, since I have the knot tied, I don't mind doing this just to give me a little bit more space. And you just hold everything, make sure everything stays in the right spot, and it's just a lot easier to take this now and do your 5 reps. There's one, see, and then it's getting just a little bit folded over, but if you just take the time, push it back to where it needs to be, you'll be fine. Well, and it takes practice. Like I said, I really do think that you guys, if you want to do this, you should start with the smaller one just to get the hang of, just to see what you're looking at. Because I remember when I very first did this one, it's just, you're doing what the person says, but it still just looks like a mess of rope. And you just hope that it works out, and eventually one does, and then the next one doesn't, and yeah, these are frustrating, or they can be. So that is basically this knot in a nutshell anyways. I do still have to put the extra rounds on this axis. I only have 4 and 3, but I'm not going to take the time to do that right now just because I have another one prepped and ready to go. But I do have to say, when you're at this stage, the best thing to do is to not tighten it in one go. You should go back and forth a couple times. It is going to take a little bit of practice. This is what gets confusing at this point, because you'll get halfway through, kind of lose what direction you're going in, and you might go all the way back the way you came. It can be really frustrating, make you want to put it down. The best way that I can suggest to not do that is to orient yourself. Like, I know that I, for this one, would want more length to be pulled through that way, so I just start here. And I pull the length from there, and I hold this the whole time so I know where I started. And if I lose orientation, then at least my hand is still here, and I can kind of go, okay, well, I go all the way around to here, then it turned the corner and went this way, and then, so it's just easier to keep track if you, and then that way it doesn't make it so you pull all the length back out the extra long end that you already have. So yeah, don't do that in one round. That's where the patience comes in. If you want to do a good job, just do the things that I said there. And then keep in mind as well that you want to kind of keep the fully tightened monkey fist roughly in the direct middle of the what you have left, because we do want to make this into a keychain, so we want something to work with. Now what I'm going to make or show you guys how to do just quickly here is the snake knot. That's how I do all of the keychains that I make. And I like it because it's a really snug knot, and it looks exactly the same on the front side as it does the back side. So it's a good knot to do. Now I'm going to stand up and just change the orientation of the way I hold everything here so you guys can see it just a little bit better. Hopefully anyways, is the idea. Now the way I think of it is, in your right hand, this stays down and doesn't really do much for now. And in your left hand, this one makes a loop and goes around the other one, and then you hold that loop with the free end on the back side. That's not something that you need to worry about, it'll just be there. But yeah, hold it there, and then let me see if I can just, okay, now this is not part of the knot. I'm just putting it through here so I can work with the end and try and hold this ball up so you guys can still see what I'm doing. So this is not part of the knot. now this is, take the end of what you just pulled through there, or hopefully you're just laying it on the table. Put it through and go down through that loop that you just made. You hold that loop, yeah, like I said, in between your thumb and your forefinger, and then that's the knot. You just pull it tight from there, and it's good to try and get it nice and snug to the monkey fist because you're going to be yanking on it anyway. So one of the very first ones that I made, this area was just gigantic. So it's better to have it snug because you're going to be doing things like that and pulling it out anyways. So let's just do one more so I can show you guys maybe a bit more clearly here. This is on your right hand side, stays stationary for now. Your left hand side goes around the right hand side, and then you make that loop and hold it between your thumb and your forefinger. I just need to do this so I was doing it before and the ball would drop down and then you couldn't see the knot that I was tying. So again, this isn't part of the knot. I'm not doing anything complicated here. I'm just pulling the cord so I can put it down through the loop that we just made. And that is the snake knot. You just pull it nice and snug, and I like it because you can make it fit nice and tight into the knot that you just did. They look the same front and back, top and bottom. So yeah, that's the snake knot. I do about 20 of them. It makes the keychain about 10 inches long. You don't want it to be too long because it is still a keychain. It's not a weapon, even though we're making it very strong. Then the other thing to do at this point is you just put your carabiner and your key ring on it. I use a 2-inch carabiner and a 2-inch key ring. Well, this might be 1.5 inches actually. I have a ruler right here. No, it's a 2-inch. So I have a 2-inch carabiner, 2-inch key ring. I just make one last snake knot. And I try and put these two things in the very center of the knot, which I think it's kind of hard to do. I'd like an easy way to do this, like right from the, but I try and just put it on one of that here or that loop there. So let's just, because you can clip the carabiner on, it's always the key ring that's the pain. But I'd like to figure out the point of the knot that I make to just add this in there at that point, at that time. But that's not so bad actually. It's usually a lot more clumsy than that. So yeah, there's that. That can just clip in beside it. I already tightened it down a little bit. So that's fine like that. Tighten that up. And then all I do is I do the snake knot back down. And it's a little bit more difficult to do with something in the middle. Maybe I'll show that on the camera too here. Let me just tighten the first one up because that one's always kind of awkward anyways, trying to get nice and snug into the... Sometimes there's a bit of a gap in between the carabiner and the key ring. There can be like a little awkward gap. So I like to make, even if it's just messy and uneven, I try and snug that knot nice and tight up to the bottom of there just to make it look better. Now I'll come back over here to show you what it looks like with tying a snake knot with something in the middle. Hopefully I can do it as well as I did before. Still consider this is just happens to be there. So consider this is the one that doesn't move just like before. You wrap it around and make that loop just like before. This just happens to be in the way. Oh, it's almost easier to hold now. And then you pull that down through the loop. And that is your snake knot with something in between. And it's the same thing as before. It might be a little bit more awkward, so moving the knot where it needs to be might take a little bit more time, but once it gets there, just snug it up like this. And go down to the shaft, maybe just 3 or 4 more knots, and then you can cut them and clip them. Here we are, finished product. 2 heavy keychains that you may use for something else besides holding your keys. I say it like that, well, for liability issues, but also I don't want somebody out there getting hurt. This is not meant to make you feel invincible. This is not a protective device. This is a ball bearing on the end of a string. That's it. You're not Jackie Chan. You're not Bruce Lee. I'm not either. Please be safe. Please be smart. And just please be careful. Now, you guys know I'm good for different options if you guys don't have the material in the house right now and you just want to get started. If you have a pack of marbles, the shooter marble, that's a 1-inch ball. So you can do the exact same tutorial and use this instead. I do have to say, this is glass. This will break before a steel ball bearing will. Keep that in mind. Now, if you have not 550 paracord, if you don't like the look of the 550 paracord and you wanted to use a different rope, that is totally okay. I believe the 550 paracord is the strongest, so that's what I go with, and I do like the vibrant colors. But if you want to, you can use a different kind of rope. And look at this. This is a giant, look at this. I don't know what it's for. It came in the marble pack. Like, that's the shooter. That's Godzilla. Like, I don't know why you need that. But anyways, it came in the pack. If you wanted to wrap something like that, that actually takes 9 wraps and the jig. If you can do that in your hands with the 550 paracord, but if you had a thicker rope, it could potentially only take 3 or 4 wraps. Depends on how big your rope is. So that's what you do for that. And that's basically all you need to know. You can take old key rings off of keychains that you have already. If you want to do something like that, that's not a big deal. And I'm sure that there's extra somewhere. I know I can take a few off my current keychain as it is. So you can do that if you wanted to. You don't have to spend money on that. It's basically all I have to say. Again, be careful, be smart, and be safe. And just remember, everybody in life makes mistakes. What matters is what you do about it in the end. So I'm going to sign out. And be safe.